If you like these videos and you want some more exclusive videos, you can join the Patreon. It's $10 and you get some really cool stuff. I've done networked inventory systems. I'm covering VR this month. I've done how to do SQL databases in Unreal. I try to save all the coolest stuff for the Patreon. So if you like these videos, you want to support me, and you want more videos, definitely go check that out. Hey, welcome back. It's been like 2 months, but anyways, today I'm going to make a quick project. We're going to make a gun that fires laser bullets. And you may be thinking, well, I don't want to make a gun that fires laser bullets. Why would I want to watch this? Well, we don't just show you how to make a gun that fires laser bullets, we actually talk about beam particle systems, which are really useful. I've used beam particle systems to make lasers come out of my gun, like a laser sight. I was making a VR game the other day, and I needed a laser to come out of my VR controller, so I made a beam particle system. And you can do a lot more than just make lasers, by the way, but that's my favorite thing to do with them. So today, we're going to do a real quick tutorial where we modify the first-person project gun to shoot lasers instead of those boring orange balls that it shoots. So let's do that. I'm going to make a new project here, and we'll call this Lasers. And make sure it's a C++ first-person project. I'm going to create project. And I'll see you guys when this is loaded. Alright, so we're here inside of our project now. Let's begin. I'm going to make a folder called Laser, and I'll put all of my laser-related stuff in there. So we're going to make a material for the laser, and then a particle system for the laser as well. And I'll show you how to make specifically a beam particle system. So we're going to open up the laser here, right-click, and make a material, because all particle systems need a material. So we're going to call this m_laser. I'm going to make a particle, a material for our laser using a bit of math here. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I don't even understand what half of this stuff does, but I'll try my best to explain. I'm going to take a texture coordinate node, like that. And if I click that little drop down, you can see it has green, red, and yellow in there, I think. Maybe not. Anyways, we drag out and type in mask, and we're going to use a component mask. And we want to mask the red. Oh, sorry, the green, the G. And if I click the drop down here, we have kind of half of a gradient going on. Now what I'm going to do here is multiply this by 0.5. So we're basically cutting it in half, and that's going to lower its intensity. And at this point, if I plug this into a sine, we'll actually have something that looks a little bit like a laser beam, a little bit. However, it's not very good. It needs to be a little bit more concentrated, and to do that, we're going to plug that into a power node. And for the exponent, I'm going to select maybe 4. And if I hit that drop down, I can see what that looks like. You can see it's a little bit more condensed. If I use a value such as 50, you can see it's quite condensed, and maybe 500 is like super condensed, yep, as you can see. But I'm just going to go with 4, so that's still a fairly broad looking laser beam. Okay, at this point we can get started, we're almost done. I'm going to use this node here called particle color. And particle color is basically inside of my particle system, whatever I set the color of my particle system to, this node will get that, basically. It will get whatever color my particle system is set to. I'm also going to click on the output node here, and I'm going to change this to unlit because our laser does not, it's not lit, it's not shaded. And also the blend mode is going to be translucent because some parts of the laser are going to be see-through, obviously. So what we'll do is we'll take the alpha, so the opacity of our particle system, I'm going to multiply that together with this here. And then, to me, it's still a little bit too, it's not see-through enough, so you can clamp that value if you want. I'm not going to do that, I'll just plug that straight in there. And then also we need the space color as well set up, and we plug this into the emissive color because this is a unlit material, so we don't have a base color, we just have emissive. So we just do the same thing, we just multiply here. So you want to plug your beam in, and then multiply that with the base color. and then you can finally plug that into the emissive color. And if I click on this plane preview thing here, you can see that we have kind of like this laser beam thing going on, and we're going to use this for our beam. If it doesn't look very cool right now, fair enough. I don't blame you. It's going to look a lot better soon. And also, if I think I want to plug another multiply node in here, and I can make it a little bit more brighter, because lasers tend to be quite bright. So we're going to multiply this by, say, 10. Maybe even like 20. There you go. So you get a lot more brightness going on with our laser beam here. So now it's time to actually make the particle system. So I'm going to right click and go to particle system. I'm going to call this PS underscore laser bullet. Will do. Whenever I make a particle system, I like to put PS before it, just as naming convention. So we'll open this up, and you can see right now it's spawning off a bunch of particles. And what we want is a beam. We don't want to spawn a bunch of different ones, we just want a single beam. So what we'll do is we'll come to this little blank space here, right click and go to type data, and you want to add some new beam data. And at this point we now have a beam. However, you can't see anything. Go to required, and we're going to select our laser material that we made. Okay. At this point we now have a particle system. Over here you can actually see it, and it looks terrible. You can't see anything. So let's fix that up. What I'm going to do is go to the color over life, and I'm going to get rid of that. I actually want to right click and go to color, and then make a initial color. And this is basically a little bit different from color over life, in that it's constant. It doesn't change. Now maybe you want your laser to change as it flies through the air, maybe you want it to be blue and then fade into red or something, but I just want my laser to be one color, so we're going to use initial color. And I'm going to go to start color, and we'll set my laser to be red. So I'm going to set G and B to 0, and you can see now I have a red laser. And now a really cool effect you can do if you want to have a gradient going on, I can set B here to be 5, for example, and now you see we get this cool gradient effect, which I really like, so feel free to mess around with that and get a cool looking gradient going on. If I click on beam data here, we have the speed option. I'm going to set this to be 1, and 1 means constant, I believe, so it doesn't move, pretty much. We'll come into initial size as well, and expand this. And you can see that the initial size is 25. That's a little bit big for me, so what I'm going to do is set that to be 5 for all of these values. And it still looks a little bit weird, our laser. It's kind of moving around, doesn't look very good. Because it is a beam, we need to specify a start and end point for the laser. So, to do that, you right click, you want to go to beam and add a source, and then right click beam again and go target. So now we have a start and end point for our laser beam. Now you can give this a name if you like. I'm going to do that. I'm going to call this laser source, and I'll go to target here, and I'm going to call this laser target. And you can use these names to refer to your particle system later on, which can be really handy. What I'm going to do right now though is, for source, I'm going to expand this one here, and I'm going to set it to 0, 0, 0. And now we actually have something going on. I'm going to go to target as well, expand target, and I'm going to set X as 50, Y as 0, and Z as 0 as well. Okay, our particle system is still moving, and I can't remember why it does that. There's something you've got to change. I'm just really bad at remembering. I think it's emitted duration. You want to change it to 0. Almost there. I'm just trying to remember. There's one more thing you have to change, and I'm always bad with this stuff. You know what? I'll pause for a sec, and I'll come back when I've found it, because otherwise I'm just going to be sitting here for like 5 minutes, and it would be boring. Okay, so there's just a couple of things that you want to change here. So if you go to spawn, click on the spawn tab here, set the, under this little rate section, expand rate, and then set this constant to be 1. I had it set to 20, which was spawning 20 lasers. However, we don't actually need 20, we only need 1. So just set that, and now you will only spawn 1 laser at a time. And then also under beam data, the speed should be set to 0. I had that set to 1, so set it to 0 because your laser is not going to be moving. Now, you can also define this yourself if you like. The size can be whatever you want. So I've got it set to 5 here. Maybe you want the laser to be a little more thin, and you could go with 2 for all of these values. That's really up to you. You can sort of customize that to your liking. And just to make the source and target more clear, if I drag the particle system into the level, you can see it exists there, looking all fancy. If I open the particle system up and go to the target here, and set the X to be, say, 200, you can see that it's now updated in the level, and it's now moving 200 units along the X. And I can change this as well. I can maybe make it up in the air a little bit, so maybe I want it 200 on the Z as well, so now it's going up at an angle, like that. Now the really cool thing about this is that you can set this at runtime. So if you wanted to make the player's gun have a laser coming out of it, like a laser sight, then you could set the source to be the player's gun and the target to be wherever the player's aiming at. And that's pretty cool. You can do the same for like a VR controller. So if you're making a VR game and you want the player's controller to have a laser coming out of it, you can make it that way as well. So there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do with source and target. I'm going to set target back to be 0 here, and we'll set X to be maybe like, I guess 200's good, maybe 100. But it's up to you what you want to do with the source and target. If you want to set the source at runtime, then you can just select user set or actor. It's really up to you. There's a lot of different options, and I'll probably cover that at some point. But at this point, we can basically get the lasers working. So if I hit play, actually I'll turn the sound down before I do this. So if I shoot, you can see I'm just shooting these balls right now. So to switch it out with the laser, I just go to my first person CPP, open up the blueprints, go into my projectile, and I'm going to swap the ball out with a laser. So to do that, we delete the ball, add a component, and we want to add a particle system. Insert the particle system to our laser bullet, like that. And then we have it. We now are shooting lasers. So we'll try this out in the game. There you go. We're shooting lasers, and they bounce. That's pretty cool. I didn't even... my ones weren't even bouncing. I never tried that out. That's actually pretty cool. I didn't realize you can make them bounce. And you can actually... you could change this if you wanted to, so that they only bounce on, like, angles. But if you shoot it directly at the wall, it doesn't bounce off. You could probably edit all that stuff if you really wanted to. But that's kind of cool. These lasers will despawn after so long as well. Oh, that one's just in the level. If you want the lasers to destroy when they hit a wall, all you have to do is open up the projectile, go to the collision component, and then add an on-component hit, and then you just want to destroy the actor when that happens, and compile and save here. And now you can see they destroy when they hit a wall. So yeah, that's it. We now have a beam emitter working, and it's coming out of the gun, and that's kind of cool. I will show you how to set like a source and end, because that's pretty cool as well. If we come into the laser here, I'll open it up, and for the source, I'm going to check this box that says source absolute, and target is absolute as well. So you go to target, and target absolute, check that. And that will allow you to give it a position in world space rather than relative space. I just like to do that. It's a little bit easier. So, yeah, at this point you can now set the source and end locations. So let's do that, I guess. Let's see. We'll make a blueprint class. I'm not doing C++ just because it would take too long, but yeah, screw it. Let's do C++. Why not? So, new actor, next. So I'm going to do this laser blocks or something. Why not? Laser blocks, we'll call it that. So I'm going to add a couple of blocks and they have a laser going between them. So we're going to show you how to set the start and end point at runtime, because that's a pretty cool thing to do, I guess. So open up my code here. So we need a particle system, so we'll add that in. Particle system component laser particles. We're going to add a static mesh component, and I'll add a second static mesh. So I'm just adding 2 blocks, and then I'm going to connect the blocks together using a laser, and I'll make it so that whenever the blocks move, the laser updates. So yeah, I don't know, it'll probably end up looking pretty cool, so why not. I'm going to go U property, edit, defaults only, and I'll just chuck that on. And we'll just have a scene component as well for the root. Scene component is just an invisible component that you can't see, by the way. So I'll just call that root. And then we need to add a tick function. Oh, we already have one there. Perfect. So I'm going to say that root is equal to create default subobject. We want to create a uScene component. Call that root. And we're going to make block A and block B. So block A. And then we're just going to duplicate that. Block B. And that's going to be a uStatic mesh component, like so. And you can paste that in here. Whoops. I am bad at typing. There we go. And then finally we need to make a particle system, which is, what did I call it? Laser particles? Yeah. So, laser particles, like that. Cool, so now we need to set the start and end of our laser. So I'm going to set the start as block A, and I'm going to set the end as block B. So these 2 blocks are going to be connected together by our laser particles. So, inside of my tick function here, I'm going to say laser particles, and there's a function in here called set beam source point. And we're going to pass in 0 for the emitter index because it's the first one. We're going to set the new source point as block A. Get component location. So we're getting the location of the first block and setting the source to be that. And then 0 again. And now, if I just copy and paste this, we're going to set the beam target point as block B. So we're going to connect these 2 blocks together using our beam particle emitter. And I'm just going to think if this is going to work. Yeah, looks good to me. Let's just offset these as well. Block A, set relative location. We'll just offset the location by 500, like that. And I'm going to do the same for block B, and I'm just going to offset that 500 units in the other direction. So I'm going to use negative there to do that. And now we're going to go ahead and save and build. So these functions here are setting the beam source point and target point. You can actually do a lot more than just set the source and target, but that's what I'm going to do right now anyway. So if we go back into our editor, drag our laser blocks into the level, we have block A, so I'm going to select cube for that, and we have block B, and I'm going to select cube for that as well. So bring that up a bit. Oh, whoops. We want to select the instance here and then, or the root, sorry. Can I move that? No, I can't. Okay. I should have made that editable. Oh well, I'll just move that up. Move block A up, move block B up. And then for your laser particles, you want to go here and select laser bullet. Hit play. And nothing happens. Okay. I'll be back in a sec. I gotta figure out where I screwed up here. Okay, so the solution is actually really easy. If you go to laser bullet, because I'm trying to set the source and target myself, I need to go to source and change the source method to user set and target also to user set because I'm setting that myself. And that's all you need to do to change that. And now if I hit play, you can see that they're connected up with a laser, which is pretty cool. And if my thinking is correct, we should be able to move these cubes around and the laser will move with it. So should we try that? There you have it. Check it out. So the laser follows the cubes and connects them together. How cool is that? So I'm curious to see what you guys can do with this. Maybe you can make like a fun game where you have to like avoid walking into a laser or something. I don't know. I'm sure there's a bunch of different things that you guys can think of, but yeah, so anyways, that was fun. I enjoyed that. We did some beam particle stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave a comment. Tell me what I should do next, because I'm running out of ideas. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, see you later.